Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. My name is Corey Krieger. This is ED.T 703, Digital Age Leadership to Enhance Student Learning with Dr. James. Today we're going to be looking at modeling and promoting digital citizenship, a little lesson we've got prepared here. Basically, again, digital literacy is something that is incredibly important in today's age and society, especially with what's going to be taking place most likely this fall. So let's get into kind of how to teach our students some of these proper practices when it comes to online behavior. So first off, a little bit of an introduction. With more students and districts obviously going to be turning to remote or blended learning this fall, this is something that's been a push in education for the last couple of years, at least to my knowledge, but it may even ramp up more this coming fall. It's very important to be able to teach online behavior to our students. Becoming a good digital citizen often involves more than teaching basic online safety. The biggest thing that I get out of this is teaching acceptable behavior between personal device use and academic device use. Many times students don't know how to differentiate that line. They may have an iPad, they may have a tablet, they may have a computer at home that they use for personal use. That's different than when they're in a school setting, and obviously the ramifications of that are different as well. So this digital citizenship is what's known as digital etiquette. So looking at some of these standards, clicking through the link and looking at the standards, of course, the one that I chose was Online Behavior Standard 2B, the ISTE standards for what is a digital citizen. And the standard, as you can see here, says that basically we're going to try to teach students how to engage in positive, safe, legal, and ethical behavior when using technology. And as you can see in the picture here in the bottom right, again, kids, even as young as 7, 8, 9 years old, they have devices now of some sort that they're using, and many of the times it's hard for us as educators to differentiate the digital platform that they have in their personal lives versus what they have when they're in an academic setting. Most times, as I say here on the left, students are unaware that what they post in any platform, their digital platform, is creating what's known as a digital footprint. So we got to not only teach them how to properly conduct research and analysis and find credible information. All that's incredibly important for digital citizenship as well. But they also need to understand that their online actions can be monitored in the same way that person-to-person interactions can as well. And that is a tough line in today's society, but it's one that we have to teach. So the terminology for this is what's known as net etiquette, if you will. And basically that's just refers to the standard of conduct expected by other digital technology users, especially in an academic setting. So here are just some examples of inappropriate student online behaviors. And you could go into an entire lesson on each one of these, but we'll just point out a few of the examples, things like cyberbullying, posting critical comments in an online discussion that are not constructive. Inappropriate use of cameras and pictures is obviously a big one, and then using devices for non-educational purposes. All of these are things that educators must fight if they're going to use technology in their classroom. And obviously in today's age, it's paramount that you do use technology, but you got to teach your students how to use technology in a proper way, and in a way that is not conducive to them being off task. Again, technology can be a double-edged sword. It's obviously there's a lot out there that you can use for benefit and gains of educational purposes, but on the flip side, there are things that are very distracting. So students have to know that they're there for an educational purpose. So what are some top issues with digital technology within the classroom setting? Obviously, some of the detractors of digital technology say that it diminishes face-to-face interaction, which oftentimes it can. It can provide distractions that take away from the lesson if not properly modeled. The key, and I think this is probably the most important thing on this particular slide when it comes to issues with technology, if you're going to use a new form of technology in the classroom, amazingly, these kids don't go home and research educational technology. So you've got to model that, whether it be Google Classroom or a Kahoot or an Ed Puzzle or whatever platform you may be using to have your students, even if it's something as simple as using an online article or accessing online articles. Kids don't do that. They use their phones for other purposes, for entertainment purposes, and even their computers. So you better model that, and it must be modeled for both the teachers and the students. Reading through some of these studies, there was a study published in the Canadian Journal for Scholarship in Teaching and Learning, and they surveyed the students, and 49% said that the use of technology for reasons that they use technology for reasons not related to class. So this is a big problem that technology is often used as a distraction, not always as an aid to learning. Students generally said that they've used technology knowing it may even create off-task behaviors. So again, as the teacher, you must not only monitor this, but you must also model what proper behavior looks like if you're going to use the Chromebooks or the devices in your classroom. So what are some of the detrimental effects of some of these aspects? Obviously, you have cyberbullying as an issue that you would have to look at from a standard standpoint. Again, cyberbullying has been well documented. It's clear that some of the behaviors, if you're not modeling them correctly, can have negative effects on children's academic progress and their emotional well-being. For example, in the 2012 book, Cyberbullying, Bullying in the Digital Age, the authors point out that technology has all but erased the reflection time that once existed between a silly act or a serious prank and actually committing the deed. Simply put, it's much easier to be negative, to be mean, to post insightful, hurtful comments online than it is in person. There is still a filter that exists in person for most people. And online oftentimes shreds that filter or shortens that filter. So modeling these correct norms, not only in discussion boards, but online communities must be paramount if we're going to move to more digital blended learning. Other positive modeling, so that was more from a negative standpoint. What are some positive modeling ways you can use these in the classroom? Again, being able, this could be huge this fall, using platforms for collaboration projects, whether that be Zoom or Google Meet. I'm a history teacher, and obviously some things that I love doing is not just sitting up there and lecturing, have the students use the technology that we have in our building to create something. So this could be a collaborative process on, Google Docs, Google Slides, something where they have to research a historical event, and multiple members of the group may have to add photos or analysis or research, and it becomes a group effort. That team collaboration process is key if you're going to use this technology, and that's obviously something they would have to do in a real world job setting as well. Other positive online behavior modelings, examples, some things that you can use in your classroom, teaching kids how to use constructive criticism, especially if you're going to use an online discussion board of some point. Oftentimes, when I taught AP government, we would have discussion posts, and again, teaching them how to, constructively criticize their own peers' stuff without being like that was a dumb comment or that doesn't make any sense. The online trolling. We mentioned working as a team on a goal or a project, having respect for others, keeping your students task oriented on their focus. And then if there is a portion of the class that requires the teacher to stand up and lecture, it's just basic etiquette to turn your cell phone off or on silent when listening to that. Obviously, you can't drone on and on and on. Teenagers' attention spans have shortened in that time period. I also included a short video. We're not going to watch this, but if you're looking to use this sort of presentation, if I was going to use this presentation to teach this to my students, Brain Pop has kind of a short video on digital etiquette. So to summarize, digital etiquette, obviously something that's incredibly important in today's age. We have to model these behaviors and show our students what is and isn't proper when you're using an online platform. And differentiate between the personal use of these devices versus the academic use. And those settings are different, and sometimes those lines can be tough for kids. They think, we don't want it to become the point where getting a computer means, well, I get to just search the internet and I get to, look up things I want to look at or YouTube videos. The kids need to be able to establish the difference between a personal use and an academic use, and that's something that we have to do as educators when we're teaching digital citizenship early on in the school year. So thank you for listening to this presentation. I do have a series of website references as well as the studies that were linked in there for additional research if you're interested. So thank you and have a good day.